Alaikum and a very good morning, afternoon, or evening to the fellow judges. I am Jasmin Hani from Sekolah Menengah BATAS will make a simple book review upon a book that I've recently read titled The Seventh Mishapiot. This book is written by a female author named Ana Katabiano. This book is a romantic fantasy love story packed book. This story will bring us back to the historical era of New York City. So the starting line of this book is when a 9-year-old girl named Cynthia was playing with her favorite doll at a specific evening. Suddenly, a postman appeared and gave her a package. She was very excited to open the package to know the content, but to her disappointment, the package wasn't for her, but was for her neighbor that lived across the street, Miss Rebecca Hatfield. So Cynthia, trying to win back her mother's heart after plucking her favorite flowers, took the responsibility to give it back to her neighbor. She went across the street and knocked on the door. To her surprise, she thought Miss Rebecca Hatfield would already be in her 40s or 30s, but she was actually a very young lady in her middle 20s. So she knocked the door and was greeted with a happy smile. She entered the house after getting invited by Miss Hatfield. Miss Hatfield invited her to sit in her parlor while she went to go and fetch some lemonade and cookies. Cynthia, being the good girl she was just sitting, but her eyes were roaming around the whole parlor. It was very weird how such a young lady had a very bad sense in fashion. The furniture and the wallpapers weren't matching at all, and there was also a very weird clock that so was not suitable in the parlor. Well, she just shrugged it off. Then Miss Hatfield entered the parlor with a plate of cookies and 2 glasses of lemonade. Cynthia, being the nice girl she is, she didn't reject it and took it with a happy heart. While she was drinking and eating, Miss Hatfield offered her if she wanted to watch a photo album. Cynthia said yes. She was scrolling through the albums and she found something very weird about the albums. The places, the timeline, it was like she'd been there before. When she was nearing the end of the book, she actually found out that the photo album was of her, because the photos were actually from since she was born and to the very evening when she was playing with her dolls. She was freaking out. Who is Miss Hatfield and why does she have her pictures? Well, that will be explained later in the story. So Miss Hatfield actually told her that she is now immortal, and then Cynthia, she thought immortality was just a myth. So Miss Hatfield actually showed her in the mirror that she is now not a 9-year-old girl anymore, but a young lady in her early 20s. Cynthia was shocked. Imagine, in a split of a second, you've already became a young lady. So she was weird, like how could this happen to her? And Miss Hatfield actually told about the story of the Miss Hatfields. So this story starts when the first Miss Hatfield found the Fountain of Youth. So, as we know, the Fountain of Youth will always give us youth, as we've heard in legends and myths and stories. So Cynthia actually drank the last drop of the Fountain of Youth. So now she is stuck in immortality. Cynthia can do anything now because the consequences are permanent. So she will accept her fate, but for immortality, she will have to let go of her old life. So now that she has already accepted that she is a Miss Hatfield, that she is immortal, Miss Hatfield gave her a mission. She must go back in time and retrieve an old painting, an oil painting of a Spanish woman. But the story behind that painting is still unknown. Like, what is so important about this painting? Why this painting in particular? But she did the mission, and on her way, she meets up with a young, handsome lad named Henry Buford. Henley knows who she really is, so Henley helps her to retrieve the painting. But somehow later, she finds out that actually somebody has been following her. That person. But she is that person, on her point of view, will only have two meanings. That is, that person is aware of the fountain of youth, or that person is actually finding the truth of the fountain of youth. So, this book, to sum up, it is a spellbinding story of time travel and unrequited love. As we know, as immortals, you will live forever. So even if your lover lives until 50, you will still be 21, or 22, or 23. So, Cynthia is very sad about that, but what can she do? So, for the ending of the book, most readers will actually hope for a happy ending. But life isn't full of fairy tales and rainbows. So, that's what happens. This book actually has a sequel, but the sequel is actually telling about how Cynthia lived after recreating the oil painting. That's all from me. Thank you.